What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Creating Wealth Podcast, where I, Kyle, from Kyle Curtin Real Estate, interview local top dogs in the real estate investing, wealth building, and personal finance industries. Let's build together. Welcome to episode 9 of the podcast. Today, I am interviewing Stephan Fequiere. He is an absolutely insane 22-year-old investor and full-time pastor from Wakefield, Mass., with an absolutely crazy investing story so far. I can't even put into words the amount of value in this episode for investors just starting out, and I really hope you enjoy. Let's jump right into the episode. Great to hear from you again, man. What's going on? How are you?
I'm good, man. Just out here. I'm chilling, waiting for coronavirus to die. That's what I'm waiting for.
Oh, yeah.
Things sucks, man. I'm counting the seconds until we're done with this.
Oh, totally. I know.
Yeah.
It's been a very, very interesting year.
Indeed. It has.
Yeah. All right, to jump right into things, man. What got you into real estate, and what's kind of your backstory?
What got me into real estate? So I grew up in Malden, Massachusetts. Elementary, middle school, high school. Went to all Malden public schools. I didn't necessarily grow up dirt poor. Would never say that, but I didn't grow up, super wealthy either.
Yeah.
So my parents have always lived paycheck to paycheck. That's just all I really knew. That's just all I really saw. And I remember when I was 18 years old, one day I was at the beach with a few friends, and one of my friends, he's a lot older than me. He was in his 30s at the time. He was like, "Hey man, you need to start looking into real estate now that you're 18. So that, in a few years you're ready to go." So I was like, real estate, like, okay, like,
Yeah.
someone says real estate, first thing I think is real estate agent. I'm just buying and selling houses. I'm like, yeah, I'm not really interested. He said, no, you need to look into investing in real estate, buying property, renting it out. So I'm 18 years old. I have never heard of this concept before. So I'm like, okay. So then I hop on Google, I hop on YouTube. And once you know it, guess who pops up? Uncle G, Grant Cardone.
Nice.
I remember watching Grant Cardone, 18 years old. I fell in love, like absolutely fell in love. I mean, a lot of people don't like Grant Cardone. His personality is one of those, you either love him or you hate him. There's no in between.
Yeah.
I happen to be one of those. I really love him. I love his personality. I love how he is. So then, from the time I was 18 to 22 years old, I watched a lot of Grant Cardone. I also watch Chandler Smith. Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. That goes without saying,
Yeah.
Ty Lopez, all these guys. I was just always on YouTube.
Yep.
And then I remember I was like, okay, the idea of investing in something that's going to pay you long term to do no work. It's like, why? Like, only an idiot wouldn't do that. And you do a little more research, and I was like, most wealthy people are real estate investors. Donald Trump is a real estate investor. A bunch of rappers are real estate investors. So I'm like, okay, those guys are wealthy, so the key must be real estate. So that was that, and let's see. This past March, April is when one day I was home and I was on Redfin, because I scroll on Redfin more than I scroll on Instagram. And I was on Redfin one day and I saw a house that was a 2-family that was on the market for like 2 months. I was like, this is a pretty good deal. And I went to check it out. And the next thing I knew, man, I put an offer in and I'm at the closing table like 6 weeks later. I'm like,
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, it took for 4 years, man. It was just me studying and learning and just, trying to figure out what it's going to look like. How do I do it? And then I just finally pulled the trigger.
That's great, man. So many people don't end up pulling the trigger on it. And I love to hear that. Like, going from, just one of your friends mentioning it to you one day and researching it, checking it out, and falling in love with it, to actually seeing an opportunity and jumping all over it. That's wicked cool, man. That's awesome. What is your drive and vision for the long term?
Drive and vision for the long term. That's a very loaded question right there. No, I mean, it is. Okay. On a larger scale, I would say it's just, okay, without getting super corny and cliche, it's just to build a legacy.
Yep.
Like that is my biggest Like that's the biggest vision. It's okay to build a legacy, to build something that's way bigger than me. There's someone I follow on Instagram. His name is Brian Bullock, and he has this whole campaign that he's doing about building legacy. And he wrote a book, and he has all these different things. And I hold on to that really, really tightly. Is I want to build something that's way bigger than me. A lot of people now they they get a little money. They want to buy nice cars. They want to buy nice jewelry. They want to buy all this different stuff. Me, I'm looking, okay, how can I build a legacy that my kids are going to be able to benefit from? How can I build a legacy that my grandkids are going to be to benefit? How can I build a legacy that my great grandchildren are going to be able to benefit from? So I would say if I take a step back, look at the big picture, my vision is building a legacy. That is my primary thing. I want my wife, my family, everyone to, be financially well, and for us to build something that's far bigger than ourselves. But on a more practical scale, I would say, if we're going to get into the nitty gritty, I would say $20,000 monthly cash flow is the end goal. Like that's the vision right there. That's where I'm going to sit back and say, okay, I made it. I've accomplished my goal. Yeah. And I mean, as we say, I think real estate is the most efficient way to get there.
I totally agree, man. That's awesome. Yeah, that's huge about the whole legacy thing, man. Like, I wish more people kind of like looked into, past like the cars and, all that fun stuff and seeing like the real power of what you can create.
Yep.
And, for other people, like besides yourself, and it's so nuts.
I mean, don't get me wrong, man. One day I'm going to get that Audi A7 without a doubt. Like,
oh yeah,
I get that Audi A7. I'm going to have the super bougie house. Yep. My wife is going to drive a super bougie. It's going to happen. But before all that, man, it's legacy. It's building my last name, making my last name actually mean something. Because up until this point, my last name, it hasn't necessarily meant anything. But, I made a decision, both my wife and I made a decision that from this point forward, that the Fekieres, that name is going to have a meaning for generations to come. So, yeah, man.
I love that, man. That's so, like, that's awesome. That's really cool. Wow. Would you mind, well, actually, we kind of got into this one a little bit, like telling kind of the story of your first property. Was there anything that you kind of learned from it? Like that first one starting off?
So I remember I want to say back in January or February. I have a friend of mine who's he's an up and coming investor. Like, this guy woke up one day, like he made up his mind last fall. He was going to buy a bunch of houses. And I think at this point he has like 8 houses that he's working on right now. It's like in less than a year, this dude's on fire. So I'm like, okay, like, can we get coffee? Can we get together?
Yeah.
We met up at a Starbucks. I remember exactly where we were sitting, and this dude, and I'm like, I'm asking him 1,000 questions. I'm like, yo, like, how'd you do it? Like, where'd you get money to do it? Like, what is it? And he looked at me. He was like, yo, just do it. I was like, I want to, but I can't. He was like, no. I don't think you understand. You want to do something, just do it. And I was like, okay, all right. Like, and I'll be honest with you, man, after that conversation, I mean, I left feeling like super encouraged or whatever. But I remember I was just like, dude, I don't understand. What does he mean just do it? Like, I don't have resources like that. And I remember one day, I was home. It was during when the whole COVID thing first started, where everything was shut down completely. So I remember I was sitting home one day. I was living alone at the time, sitting in my apartment. And again, like always, I'm watching something new Grant Cardone put out. Yep. So I'm like, all right. I was like, I really, really, really want to do this. And I remember Grant Cardone had said something. He goes, COVID-19, this pandemic is the best time to get into real estate. Because he referred to 2008, and I don't about 2008. That's where a lot of people became millionaires. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, like let's start looking in. So again, wasn't on Instagram. I hopped in Redfin, and I'm looking at it, and I find this house, and I'm like, wait, a 2-family. Been on market. It was on the market for 62 days at that point, and I like going through the pictures. It was like renovated. I mean, the square footage wasn't anything insane, and I'm like, okay, I reached out to a friend of mine who was a realtor. We touched base. He goes, hey man, if you really want to go look at it, like go look at it, but you're just gonna get a pre-approval letter. So I'm not kidding you. I have maybe $1,200 in my bank account. I have no money. $1,200 in my bank account. I call a loan officer, and I'm like, hey man, I have a house here that I really like. Here's how much I make in a year. This is my credit. and this is what I want. And just I have $1,000. He was like, okay. He goes, all right, I'll give you a pre-approval letter and we'll work from there. So I just, okay, cool.
All right.
I have absolutely no idea where I'm going to get this down payment from.
Yep.
I'm just going with the flow at this point. I'm like, all right, man, like, I just want to buy this house. I go look at the house. I really, really, really like the house. And I was like, all right, let me throw an offer in. First offer got rejected. Counter offered. Then I put a counter offer in. Then they put a counter offer in. And then that last offer, worked out, which is what I actually wanted. But, you always have to aim a little higher. So again, man, I still have no money. And then I'm talking to the loan officer, and he was like, because of your salary, you're able to qualify for a certain type of loan. So I got my first rental property with 0% down. Now, obviously, I also asked for cash back at closing. So obviously, you need some money. I needed some
exactly,
money, new fresh paint, water heat. I out of my pocket, I probably spent like $4,000. But like, $4,000 to get a $500,000 property. I think I came out on top.
That's pretty all right.
And I always tell this joke. I bought a house by accident. Because I had no intention of doing it. Like, I didn't wake up and say I want to buy a house. I just happened to be on Redfin just because that's what I like to do. And I saw a house. I was like, why is this house why has it been on the market for so long? And again, this is when COVID was, everything was still weird. So the market wasn't as intense as it is now.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, hey man, let's shoot my shot. Yeah. And I got a house by accident. Everything worked out perfectly, man.
That's awesome. That's one crazy story, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. So at that point, my goal was to get a bunch of multifamilies. I just want to get a bunch of multifamilies. That's what I wanted to do. And I was like, okay, I have one multifamily down. How do I get my next one? Because I've used my FHA loan, as you know. Once you get your FHA loan, you can't really do that again. And I'm not like, I don't have $150,000 sitting in my bank account.
Exactly.
I put 20% down. Yep. So man, at this point, man, I'm networking. I'm calling people. I'm like, hey man, you follow them as well. Nick and Sam.
Yep.
I reached out to Nick. I was like, hey, you guys are killing it. What the heck are you guys doing? I need to get in on it. And finally, man, that same friend that I got coffee with, we went out to lunch one day. We went to Texas Roadhouse, and we're sitting down. And again, he looks at me. He was like, dude, forget the buying property. Just flip houses and make cash, and then put your down payment later on. And I was like, dude, you're so right. So that moment right there, I decided. I remember I came home to my wife. I was like, babe, we're not going to buy houses anymore. We're going to flip houses. And she's like, okay. I'm like, that's what we're going to do. So, and then everything just changed. Like all my plans changed. Not all my plans, the end goal is still cash flow, but the method changed a little bit. So in that point on, man, I went on the house hunt. And when I tell you, I have put in over a dozen offers on houses, all got rejected. Every single one got rejected. There was one house, man, I loved it. It was in Medford. I put an offer in for $110,000 over asking.
Yeah.
And it got rejected. I was like, this is a joke. I feel like I'm on reality TV or something.
Yeah.
And I remember, and I just kind of like, I was like, oh man, this is gonna, I was like, I'm not gonna get a house. I remember getting super down about it, super discouraged. And I remember I was at work one day, and one of my coworkers, one of my friends, we were friends. One of my friends, he was like, hey man, I'm trying to buy a house. I just found this 2-family. He's also getting an FHA loan. He goes, oh man, it doesn't qualify for FHA. It's a piece of crap. So I'm like, can I see that? And he hands me the phone, and it had not hit the market yet. It was off market. The only reason he knew about it is because his mother-in-law's friend was the listing agent. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. It's a 2-family in Everett, Massachusetts, 10 minutes outside of the capital. I'm like, I need to get on this. I called the guy. I said, hey man, I will put an offer in right now. I was like, cash offer in right now. Mind you, I had no cash. Probably had like $600 in my bank account. So I was like, hey man, I'll figure that out later. All that out later. So I'm like, I'm gonna put an offer right now. The guy goes, the agent goes, listen, I haven't even seen the house yet. But he goes, well, I'm gonna go see it this week. You can meet me there and we can figure it out then. So I meet the guy there. I get to the house, fall in love with it. I mean, it's a piece of crap. But I'm
Yeah.
looking at it, I'm like, wow, this has a lot of potential. I fell in love with it right there and then. I was like, hey man, I want to put an offer in. I'll put the offer in with you. I put the offer in, and my offer got accepted. Offer got accepted. But see, man,
What?
it got insane after that. Again, my friend Vinny, who told me to just go with it, he's like, hey, his number one rule in real estate is put offers in now, figure out finances later. So
That's
I'm like,
really interesting.
these are big numbers, man. Like,
Yeah.
this isn't like losing $1,000 here. This is like, these are big numbers. He was like, hey man, put the offer in first, figure all the rest out later. So I went, I was like, all right, man. I put the offer in. The guy's like, I need you to sign PNS 3 days later. Yo, PNS, he goes, I need 26K at PNS.
Oh
So,
no.
so what I do, I call my mom. I call my mom. I was like, hey, listen, can I borrow some money? I'll pay you back interest. I'll pay you back more money than I borrowed from you. She goes, okay, Chloe, I get the 26K. I put the PNS down. And the thing about PNS is if you don't come to cash at closing, you lose your PNS.
Huh,
So
okay.
I'm about $27,000 into this deal, have no idea where I'm going to get the rest of this money. Absolutely. I need to come up with 120K in 14 days. No idea how this is going to happen. And I remember I got in contact with a real estate investor, and the investor goes, "Hey man, I want to work with you. I'll get back to you on Monday. I'll come up with 50K." I had asked a bunch of other people, so
Yeah.
at that point I had 60. I needed about 60 more. So he goes, "All right, man, I'll get back to you." Monday comes around. I call this guy like 7 times. Ghost. Dude, I have like what, like 72 hours, a little over 72 hours, dude, to come up with 60 grand to close on this deal. I don't think I've ever been this stressed in my whole life, ever. And I'm texting my friend Vinny. I'm like, hey man, I'm like, dude, what do I do? And he's just sending me laughing faces. He goes, welcome to real estate. I'm like, what do you mean, welcome to real estate? I'm like, dude, I'm about to lose $27,000. This is not welcome to real estate here.
Yeah.
I'm freaking out. And man, I'm reaching out, man. I'm reaching out to different people. I'm investors all over the country. I'm like, hey, man, I need this. And then on top of all of this, the seller, you know, he wasn't the greatest guy on the face of the planet. So he was like, yo, if you don't have my money in my hand by Friday, man, I'm taking your money.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Oh
finally,
no.
Friday comes along. So I finally get an investor down in Florida, and he goes, hey, I can help you out. But he goes, I can't give you the money until next week. So Friday comes around, and the agent was able to talk to the seller, and the seller's like, all right, man, like, all right, we'll do Tuesday, but Tuesday is the absolute last day. I'm taking your money. Friday evening, around 4 p.m., I get a call from the Florida investor. He goes, sorry, man, I can't help you out. So man, at that point, man, I was like, well, I just lost 27 grand. At that point, I had accepted the loss. And then I get a phone call, dude, from an investor, really, really, really established investor in the greater Boston area. He calls me, he goes, hey, Stephan, how you doing? I'm like, I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing okay. Could be better. Then he goes, I'm gonna ask you that one more time. Hey, Stephan, how you doing? I was like, all right.
Okay.
Like, all right. And he goes, no. He goes, you need to say good so that you can actually be doing good. So he goes, I'm gonna ask you one more time. How you doing? I was like, I'm doing great. How you doing? He goes, I'm doing wonderful. He was like, I apologize for calling you super late. But I just wanted to notify you that you will close on Tuesday. I have the funds for you.
What?
Dude, I'm like, what? And then I remember he was like, see, this is what happens. You go after the deal first and you worry about the money later. And I was like, wow. So man, like, again, I told you this. I told you this over the phone the other day. I'm still
Yeah.
super new. I have no idea what the heck I'm doing. I start demo this week, but yeah, man, just do it. Like that. That's the thing I've learned, man. Just do it. Don't think about it. Don't worry about it. Don't figure out where things are gonna come from. Just do it, and everything will iron itself out.
Oh my God.
Yeah, man. Yo, you could ask my wife. Man, there was one night, dude. I was like, well, this is over. Like I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And yeah, crazy.
I'm just in awe right now, man, at that
Yeah,
whole story. Like,
crazy, man.
wow.
God came through for me. God came. I remember.
Yeah.
God, I was like, God, I was like, Lord, I have nothing.
Yeah.
God, I have nothing. I was like, God, if this is what you want to happen, Lord, have your way. And he did it.
That's
He did it.
awesome. Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm honestly like I'm so shook from hearing that story, man. Like I'm gonna watch that back a couple times and just listen, and my jaw is still gonna hit the floor.
Crazy.
I love
Crazy.
how really valuable, but like really boiled down that advice is too. Just do it. Like get your deal, do it. Don't worry about the financing yet. Just get the deal and then figure it out from there and just keep moving.
Hmm.
That's
There's so much money out there, man. There are so many wealthy people out there who are looking to make money. It's just about like you have to be, and you have to be willing to hear no too,
yeah.
dude.
Mhm.
In 72 hours, bro, the amount of people who said no to me. Again, I didn't know the people. Dude, I was literally calling random people. Hey, man, you have 60K. Hey, man, you have 60K. And it was just no, 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 no.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, man, I got to do it. So I just kept knocking on doors until I got my yes. And it came.
Wow. See, like that whole story hits me different right now, man, because I'm kind of like in the position that you were in like before, where like I don't really know a whole lot of what's going on. Like I have a pretty decent idea, but like there's still a whole lot of like unknown variables. And I think I'm really just gonna hammer that advice of just do it and just move.
My friend Vinny, the one who's kind of pushed me throughout this whole process.
Yeah.
Remember, dude, he had just closed on a deal, a beautiful deal. This dude bought the house for like 290, put about 160, and sold it for 680. So it was a grand slam. Grand slam, dude. Like him and his partner walked through like over 300K. Grand slam. And I was like, dude, like, how do you do it? Yo, he looked me dead in my face and he said, I have no idea. I'm gonna substitute his word. I have no idea what the heck I'm doing, man. I have no idea what the heck I'm doing. I'm just figuring it out as I'm going. He goes, whatever you know now, I did not know anymore when I started. And I was like, bet. I was like, duly noted, sir. And that's just, and I think experience is the best teacher. Yes, I'm all for reading books. I'm all for watching YouTube videos. I'm all for podcasts. I've listened to so many podcasts. I've watched so many YouTube videos. I've DM'd many investors. I've done all that. I've gone out to coffee, dinner, all that. But I think, man, the most that I've learned is just doing it. Like I didn't know what a PNS was till I got handed a PNS. I didn't know about inspections. I didn't know what smoke certificate. I didn't know anything until it got to the point where I was like, "Here you go." So I was like, "Attorney." I was like, "Attorney? You think I need an attorney for it?"
For what?
Yeah. And just as the process unfolds, you learn, and then you take that knowledge, you put it in your pocket, and on the next one, and
Then it gets easier.
your vocabulary gets more rich. You don't sound like an idiot talking to investors anymore. You know what you're saying. You know the big words to use, and it's awesome.
That's so valuable, man. That's like ridiculously valuable.
Yeah,
Wow. I'm honestly like so blown away, man. Like
yeah,
so blown away from that story. That's amazing. It's so possible.
yeah. For anyone,
Definitely.
for anyone.
What do you consider to be the biggest variable to expand your portfolio? Would it be to just do it?
Okay. I have three. I have three things. Number one, all networking. I
Yep.
think networking is a. This is a super cliche thing people say, but it's not about who you know. It's not about what you know. It's about who you know.
Hmm.
Like I will preach that for months. Watch many. You can know everything. You need to know the right people. So networking is the number one thing. Number two, I think is knowledge. Although I think networking is more important. I do believe knowing about the state, knowing what you're doing is important. And number three, just taking action. Just like, man, you figure it out. Especially like for younger people. Like I have this like funny thing that I say to my friends. I'm like, you know what? Worst case scenario, absolute worst case scenario is I go bankrupt, right? See, that's like, which is not going to happen. I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah.
But worst case scenario, I go bankrupt. Dude, I'm 22 years old. before I'm 30 years old, bro, I'm back in the game. I'm good to go. So it's like, hey, let's shoot the shots while we're young. Let's do this thing.
That's so true, man. That
Yeah.
really is so true.
Yeah.
Like if, things were to head south or whatever, like, especially getting into the game really young, kind of like we have, like you have all the time in the world to recover.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, you're risking your entire retirement or
Yep.
something.
Yeah,
And like you're
exactly.
gonna literally have nothing if everything hits the fan.
Yep, exactly. No
Might as well
kids.
do it now.
Yeah. All right.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
What is the most important lesson that you've learned over your career so far?
My career that started in June. Was it been 5 months? 5 months. Okay.
You've done a whole lot in 5 months, man.
Yeah, I know. My career, if that's what you want to call it. You said what's the most important thing I've learned?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Most important thing I've learned is on it. It's gonna sound super corny, cliche, but just to believe in yourself. I think it's super. And me and you talked about it a little bit. It's super easy to walk into a room with a bunch of investors who have a bunch of projects under their belts. To talk to agents who say, "Hey, man, how many projects have you done?" And you're like, zero. It's
Yeah.
super easy to get discouraged by that. And you walk into a room and you feel like, I don't know as much as everyone. I don't have any experience like anyone. It's super encouraging. It's super easy to just be like, I can't do this. Or, what, let me stick to my 9 to 5 job. Let me do the status quo.
Yep.
Man, and again, I'll be honest with you, I felt that too. There were times where I was literally like, yeah, I don't think this is for me, man. Let me just do normal. Let me do the regular 401k.
Yep.
Let me work, save a portion of my paycheck, and hey, look, we'll do all right. But I was like, no, I can do this. I put my mind to it. I want something. I know I have the resources to do it, and let's do it. And also, too, man, to get creative. Because again, man, we've talked. Not everyone has 150 grand standing like sitting in their bank account. Not everyone
100%.
has not everyone has rich parents that could give them 6 figures. Like there are some of us out here, man. You got to get creative, and that's what you do, man. Just get it's put the pedal to the metal and get creative with how you fund deals. Like there's one thing we're doing is I have a full-time job. My wife has a full-time job. The house that we bought is under my name. It's my house. Her name is not on it,
Yeah.
which technically means that she does not have an FHA loan under her name. So I have a house under my FHA, and we're gonna do real soon. She's gonna have a house on FHA. Getting creative. Most people wouldn't think about that. Most people are like, "Oh, I got married. Let's file our taxes together. Oh my gosh, it's so cute." I'm like, "No, let's not file our taxes together.
Yep.
Let's get creative and let's buy as many properties as we possibly can with what we have." There's a pastor that I listen to, and he doesn't use it in the context of real estate, but in the context of everything else. He
Mm-hmm.
always says, "All you have is all you need." And I take that principle and I use it for everything. I use it at my job. I use it real estate. I use it with everything. All you have is all you need. If you have it, that's all you need. You can make it work. And with that mentality, man, you always find yourself getting creative. I remember I called my loan officer probably like 4 days after I closed on my house, and he started laughing. He was like, "You just don't stop, do you?" I was like, "Nope, I don't."
Nope.
As long as I have air in my lungs and strength in my feet, dude, I'm going. I'm gonna figure this thing out.
That's so true, man. That really is like something else. I really like that quote too, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
Because you're 100% right. Like if you have like a toolbox full of stuff, you like if you know how to use it, like if you already kind of like have some stuff, like have some connections and like be able to read books and follow people online and stuff like that, you already have something.
yep.
So if you know how to take that information and like execute on it,
Hmm.
then like the sky's the limit, man. And I definitely like hearing your story so far is definitely giving me kind of a boot in the behind, you know, to get
It's
going.
same here, man. The dude who put a boot in my behind, he had no experience. His parents weren't rich.
Yep.
This guy was like, oh, if you can do it, I can do it. That's just how it is.
Definitely. And I totally agree with you on, like, it's very easy to get discouraged and this kind of thing. Like when you walk into a room, like walking into my first meetup, man, like I was beyond terrified. Like I
Yep.
literally don't belong here. Like everybody's, gonna be all competitive and like this isn't my place.
Yep.
But if you kind of like push yourself, like to my surprise, like people actually are really friendly in like this real estate investing like niche, I guess you could say.
It's wild. I mean, again, you have a few who are super,
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
have your one bad apple,
Yep.
but man, there have been, again, we talked like Nick and Sam.
Yep.
Nick and Sam have 1,000 things going on. Hey, can I give you guys a call? They're like, absolutely. I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, okay. I'm like, all right. Like, bunch of people, man, who are willing to sit down, help you, and talk to you. And I think that's what makes this thing fun too. Because it's like, obviously we're all in it. We're trying to make money. We're trying to build wealth, trying to build legacy, trying to build something large. But just I mean, friendship's a little too strong of a word, but just the connecting with different people.
Hmm.
It's like, like, certain people that you can promote their stuff. It's like, okay, I see you're doing this thing. Let me share your thing on my Instagram. Because like, I don't know you like that. I don't know you personally, but
Yeah.
because we've connected, I want to see you win. I love it. I love it. I love it. I feel like, in this area, I mean, I'm sure every area, but I know in this area, there's like Greater Boston, North Shore,
Hmm.
South Boston. There's a super great network here of people who are always willing to help. So that's been awesome.
Oh, it's insane. You're totally right, man. Like I feel like, this investing, like you can't really do it by yourself either. Like honestly, I would want to kind of see somebody like try to do it themselves and
Yep.
see kind of like how far you can get
Yeah.
because like there's too much stuff going on
Yep.
and like you literally like need to be able to network with people and
Mhm.
like people want to meet with you and like, maybe you guys could partner with deals or like give each other connections and like it's such a friendly game. And
Mhm.
you're right, like that adds a whole nother variable of like of fun.
Mhm.
Like, man, like when we first got on the call, like on the phone a couple weeks ago, like I was ecstatic, like
Yeah.
to hear that, like you are as young as you are and like you're crushing it already, man. I was like, that's literally insane. Like, and just, like you said, people like Nick and Sam Riccio, shout out to Renos and Real Estate, by the way,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, they're doing really insane stuff and like they want to help other people succeed, and be able to help other people out as well as what they're doing. And
Yep.
like it was such an eye opener to see like how helpful people are to each other and like it's such a wholesome thing for the most part, you
Yep.
know?
Yep. It makes you again, you get discouraged, man, but then there are those people there who are there like, nah, let's go. Like, let's keep going. And it makes it so much easier and so much more fun.
Oh, totally. Man, even like meeting the first person that kind of like eggs you on and says like, "Oh, you can totally do what you want to do."
Mhm.
And like I've done like a lot more than that. Like you can do this. You're going to do this. If you have a plan and a drive, then you can do this. And like that first person that you meet that like totally like pushes you and encourages you rather than like, people who might be around you now, like friends, family, whatever, that might not like encourage you and they might just kind of discourage you
Mhm. Mhm.
and say like, "Oh, like why do you want to go buy houses?" Like, like why do you want to do that? You can't do that.
Yeah.
But finding that first person that's done what you want to do that says that you can is totally a game changer.
Yep. It is.
All it
It
takes
is.
is one person too.
Yep. One person, dude.
That's it. It starts something insane. Um, how do you define wealth?
How do I define wealth? Um, I would say financial freedom, man.
Hmm.
I would again, I talked a little about it. I talked about it earlier.
Yep.
It's just that more than myself is good. My children, their children, and their children are good. Like, like there again, this is a biblical reference, but this is is what it is. A
Yeah,
biblical
totally.
reference. It talks about in the book of Genesis how this father, this Abraham, built a well, and how his sons Isaac and Jacob were able to drink from the well that he like this. We're talking generations, and I use a very similar. I use something similar like a model in my life is I want to build a well that, I'm gonna drink from it, but my kids are gonna drink from it, my grandkids are gonna drink from it, and my great, and so on.
Yeah.
So I think wealth is number one, building something bigger than yourself, building something, for generations to come, so that they're established. I mean, whether they squander it or not, just knowing that I did my job and there's assets there for them to do whatever they got to do.
Yeah.
And then even on a more more boiled down level, like here is, just not worrying about money. Like not, not having to check my bank account when I go buy something, just knowing, hey, the money's there. Being able to not, if I were to lose my job right now, yeah, man, it is what it is. Being able to work for free. Like
Yep.
it is my dream for me to walk into my job and say, hey, you guys are gonna pay me a salary. I'm gonna take my whole salary. I'm gonna give it back. Here you go. I'm gonna give it to whatever it is I want to give. I'm gonna give it to missionaries to go and across the world. Give it to people who can't necessarily help themselves. So it's building something bigger than me, but also, being able to just live a life where I'm not worried about money. Like money is just not a factor for me. It's like, hey, it is what it is.
I totally agree, man. And it's really, kind of like what we touched on earlier. It's really insane, like the things that you can do once you kind of grab your money by the neck
Yeah.
and have it start working for you.
Yeah.
Like you said, like if you literally like had cash flow and stuff coming in and like your expenses were covered, your family was covered, comfortably and everything, to be able to like have the decision to take that money and then like push it out to like causes that you really like and like lots of different things, it's the possibilities are endless. And it's like you can do some really like superhero level like kind of things.
Yeah. 100%, man.
That's so true. What are the most effective resources that have helped you so far on your journey, or most effective?
Again, I think the dude should just pay me at this point, dude. Grant Cardone. I have a Cardone Capital hat that says cash flow inside of it. That I literally just wore it. I was like, I love this guy. I'm gonna wear it.
Yeah.
I think Grant Cardone, just his mindset, his philosophy, like how he does it, that has definitely influenced me a lot. But also, I'll be honest with you, man. I read, I'm listening to podcasts, and those things are super helpful. But I really just think that it's the people in my life. I think just I surround myself with like-minded people. Um, I mean, you may have heard of him, bro. Vinny's biggest resource to me. That dude he's kept on me. He's encouraged me. He's been the one. He's referred me to people, and that's been the biggest thing for me is people networking.
It's insane. It's so true, man. Like
Yep.
literally so many doors open once you start to like put yourself out there and, start to meet these people and like no matter what point you're at, like in your career either, like you could be like extremely fresh, like I feel that one a lot actually. And like just the more people you reach out to and like just want to have a conversation with, whether it be like hopping on the phone or taking them out to coffee or something, like the amount of doors that can open is ridiculous. Like you don't know.
Like what was it? Probably like a month and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
One of my tenants called me and said, "Hey, the sink's overflowed. We don't know what to do." Dude, I'll be honest with you, man. I don't know how to fix a sink. I don't think I've ever fixed a sink in my whole life.
Yeah.
I don't have a plumber. I've never had to call a plumber before. So you know what I did? I took my phone out. I dialed Nick's number. I said, "Hey, Nick, dude, I need a plumber." Okay. He said, "Hey, reach out to this guy." And within 12 hours, the sink was fixed. So it's just like along the way, man, having those resources.
It's the
Yeah,
power.
I didn't have a plumber, but I knew someone who did have a plumber, and
Yep.
everything worked. And moving forward forever now, I already have a plumber. Like anytime something goes wrong.
See, I feel like that's an extremely big point that you just said there too. Like I may not have a plumber, but I know someone who does.
Yep.
And I feel like that's something really, really big. Like there's a situation, that I have now or something, or like an issue comes up. I may not know how to fix that right now, but I
Yep.
know the people who do, or
Yeah.
know the people who do know how to fix that.
Yeah.
That's like some next level stuff.
Yeah.
Totally. Um, What is something that you thought about business, networking, or wealth creation that changed as you went along?
Um, this one. The biggest thing is I thought I had to know it all before I do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, man, I've talked to even some of my friends right now. They're like, yeah, man, I'm reading this book. And once I read this book, I take this class, and this class, then I'll get into it. And I think people think, and again, knowledge is key. Knowledge is necessary. If you don't know what you're talking about, if you don't know what you're doing, bro, go take a seat and figure it out before you hop in this thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like people exalt knowledge over experience, and that's not okay. I used to think, again, I was one of those ones. I thought that I needed to know everything. I thought I needed to know all the jargon. I needed to know all the people, have all the connections, know everything. And it was just like, no, you need to know enough, know the basics, and then just get to it, man. Get to it. Experience. I should just get that tattooed. Experience is the biggest teacher.
Oh man, that's so true. That one's really hitting me different right now too.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I like to look at this stuff every day, you know what I mean, and reach out to all kinds of people, but I feel like I'm still not ready because I don't know everything. But that's like part of the journey is, learning stuff as you go along. And it definitely hasn't really clicked 100% yet, but you're totally right, man.
Yeah.
What is your best piece of advice to new investors that want to start and manage their rental portfolio? I feel like we're kind of beating this one, but
I was like, just do it.
Yep, I love it.
Nike swoosh, just do it.
Just do it. It's so true though, man. It's really like that's such an encouraging, point. And like your story and I'm sorry.
No, I will also add this. Something I've learned that's super important too is to have a team.
Mm-hmm.
Like have a loan officer that you're already well acquainted with. Have him know your name, how much you make, your credit, so that when you find, because again, dude, you've learned, man, this market is super competitive. So when you find a house, man, there's no time to ponder on it. There's no time to think. It's like, man, I see this house. You pull the trigger immediately.
Yep.
So you need to have your attorney ready to go. I call it a core team, right? Core team.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have your loan officer. You need to have your attorney. You need to have your inspector, and the whole contractor is, depending. Yeah. But you need to have someone who you could call to help you with renovate, or if you do them yourself, that's even better. I'm not that gifted in that area. I admit it. Don't want to. My pride doesn't want to let me admit it, but I'll admit it. But yeah, man, you get yourself a loan officer. You get yourself an attorney, an inspector, and someone who could do help you with light renovations or whatever. And you have those people on call, on standby. Let them know, hey, just want to let you know, I'm gonna buy a house. I'm ready to go. This is my situation. So just be on standby. So that way, when the property comes along, there's no, oh my gosh, I need to find someone. It's like, no, I have my people. I'm ready to go. Let's pull the trigger.
That's so important, man. You're totally right about the speed and everything. And if you already have those people on deck, then you can get your stuff answered right away. You can make your move and you can jump. And
you need to have a good agent too.
Mm-hmm.
Working with agents, dude, who don't, who aren't very responsive, it's very aggravating to do. I remember buying the first one, the seller's agent, which like my agent, I would text him and he would call me in less than a minute. Like it was super on top of it.
Yeah.
And I remember the seller, on the other hand, seller's agent was super like, reply 3-4 hours later. And it's like, yeah, I don't like that. I really, really didn't like that. So it's just important having an agent, because again, it doesn't mean the agent's bad, but it's just, you got to find who you click with, who you work well with.
Totally.
Like I was working with an agent, and again, I knew her outside. I knew her. She's a personal friend too. But like if I was in Redfin at 2:00 in the morning, I would send her. I wouldn't feel bad about it because there was. So just finding someone you work well with is super important.
Yeah, definitely. And like you're totally right about like finding that chemistry with the right people, and like speed definitely is a really big factor in this industry. And if people are taking like a really long time to answer, or, like things aren't really kind of like as streamlined as you want them to be,
Yeah.
then it might be kind of time to find somebody else. And that's really, really important. Definitely taking that one into consideration.
Yeah. Man.
Next question. What is a common myth about building a portfolio that you want to debunk?
So I'll be honest with you, I don't really have a portfolio. I mean, I guess technically I have a portfolio if we want to get technical.
Yeah.
But I don't really have, quite an extensive portfolio. So I guess just everything I said before. Just like, yo, don't spend too much time learning and just do it.
Just do it. Just do it. I love it. And our last question, Stephan, do you read? I know we kind of talked about that earlier. And what is your favorite business, investing, or real estate book that you would recommend to anyone?
Okay. I have not read a ton of books. I'm going to go ahead and put that out there.
That's all right.
I have not read a ton of books. The two books that I have read I've started a bunch, but the two that I've read most of and that have really have helped out is one of them is from Bigger Pockets,
Mhm.
and it's renovations. It's something on renovations, how to do a renovation or how to.
Is it the estimate rehab costs?
Bingo, that one.
Mhm.
I read that one, and dude, he really needs to put me on his payroll. 10x.
GC, Uncle G.
Yep. Oh, and his other book too, the real estate book. I don't know what he called it. How to invest in real. It's like a navy blue cover. That's another really, really good book that I like.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, 10x. I would say, man, as you know, my model is just getting into it. 10x is definitely the one where I'm like, yeah, I like it. But also that book applies to like every area of your life. You could apply it to anything in life. You could apply it to being an HVAC technician. You could apply it to being a social worker, a pastor, whatever it is, man. That 10x rule, it's super applicable to many areas.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to pick that one up. That's one that's been on my list for a while, but I haven't scooped it.
Yeah.
I'll definitely have to pick that one up. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on, Stephan. This was a really, really crazy episode, man. Like I'm still like wicked blown away from like the first 5 minutes of you telling your story, man. Like it's like
yeah, man. Well, pleasure's all mine, man. It was really good talking to you.
You as well, man. Definitely. Where can people reach you on like social media or?
Yeah, Instagram. I have my personal page, Stephan Fequiere,
Mhm.
and I have my business page, FL Capital. So either one.
Yeah, I'll link both of them down below, guys. You can check them out. Give Stephan a follow. It's amazing.
Appreciate it. Looking forward to connecting in the future, man.
Yeah, you as well, man. Definitely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, pleasure's all mine, man.
All right, guys. That concludes our Creating Wealth podcast episode for today. I want to thank every single person that has listened this far. It really means a lot to know that people can learn from me and with me as we build wealth together. Hopefully you can take home at least one thing from this podcast that will improve your life just a little bit. If you could, please check me out on social. That's at Kyle Curtin Real Estate on Instagram, Facebook, and I'm on Bigger Pockets. Until next time, let's build together.